What's up, everybody? It's me again, and it's time to lean in, bitch. It's time to lean in on a new show, on a new franchise. Well, not so new, honey. My favorite franchise, The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was not excited about this. Watching that trailer a month or so ago, it just gave nothing. This premiere, I will say, it gave nothing. So that's why I got this robe on, child. I said I refuse to put on some clothes for this lackluster and laid back ass premiere that they gave us. They laid back, I'm laid back, but I'm still gonna lean in and give you, a good recap, good review on this show. It's season 13. This is the network's largest or biggest franchises. They've brought in the most viewers and just ratings to this network. So why are there 5 cast members? I have no clue. We found this out. We have a newcomer. We got 4 returning peaches, and of course our friend of the show, alumni Marlo Child. So we just gonna see how the season plays out, and hopefully it gets good. As I said, that trailer, nada. But we gonna push forward. We open up with Porsha, Luther King, CJ Walker, and it's just good to see all the girls. Of course, they're going a little behind the scenes of, the beginning. Of course, this is the first franchise to film, post-COVID. They were the first to do the reunion, and this franchise has been the first for a lot of things. So they start out, the girls look good, the confessionals, Porsha, obviously, in this glittery little piece, child. She looks really good. Kenya, Candy, Cynthia, it's just good to see all the girls. They start out by talking about the protesting and obviously COVID. And I was glad to kind of see this segment because it's good to see what, public figures as themselves or celebrities, how they were during this COVID experience. We all saw them. I feel like we got to learn a lot more about these celebrities at the beginning of the pandemic because they were all on social media and they were giving themselves out in that way. In the first opening scene, we got Cynthia. Cynthia always opens the show. Usually, she always is having some kind of event at that lake house. Every time she got that lake house, she is the queen of hosting. Candy shows up, and apparently, I don't know why they eating out in the driveway. Maybe because they were trying to social distance or be outside the house. I don't know. But she's there, and then we have Marlo. Marlo arrives. Now, Marlo, I love that Marlo showed up because Marlo, who was a great example of where we should not be. Okay, I know this was back in, June, still an early part of the pandemic, but the face shields with no mask, and then the little fever readers, child, I'm just going to say neither one of those work. So if you are loving Marlo, love her. But she was not practicing the proper way to prevent COVID. Now, they call Kenya. They speak about Kenya, and they say that Kenya hasn't really been around. They haven't really talked to her in months or weeks or whatever. And they call Kenya, and she's all on FaceTime. So I'm just curious to know, when they called her, what prompted her to answer the phone if they really ain't been talking to her. I was confused. And then when she get on the phone, she's basically saying it's bad signal. In my opinion, child, I think she realized that Cynthia was around other girls and got off that phone. And rightfully so, only because if she's been avoiding them, clearly it's because her face then got so large. Now, I am not weight shaming because as it has been mentioned, many of us have gained weight during the COVID time. But Kenya just looks very uncomfortable to me. So moving over to Kenya, they show her, she's talking about how she was depressed and how she has basically been eating and things like that. And we can tell, you don't have to tell us that, Kenya, but I will say Kenya does look very uncomfortable. Even in her speaking, it's almost like she was breathing a little harder. I don't know. I applaud Kenya for even getting on camera. To get on camera and look as blown up like that, kudos to you, Kenya. That's confidence right there. But what got me is when she was in the car and she driving and she get confused by the GPS, child. And she's just oh my God, the GPS made me turn around. Kenya, girl, now look, it's episode 1. Now, we done all been through quarantine. I can't say how you should feel, how you should react. But look, girl, now, the damn quarantine ain't stopping from using damn GPS. It's the same GPS you was using when we was outside, and it's the same one we use when we during quarantining. I'm just saying. But y'all know Kenya, child. That's what she does. She likes to act. So let her act. Now, once Kenya finally figures out how to use her GPS, she gets to her counseling or lawyer or whoever, I don't know who she with. And the conversation, basically, she reveals that her and Mark are separated and they having these issues. And honestly, I just really don't want to hear that. You know, we saw this last season. We saw exactly where Mark was, who he was. He was around Kenya Ken. And here we are in the same situation again. Like, we already sad about the quarantine. I just feel like, you know, with the quarantine and COVID, we don't want to be pressed on down in a depressed train with Kenya's issues over here, only because it's not like she's not a smart woman. You know, I really appreciate whom she was speaking to. I'm sorry, I shouldn't know if it's a lawyer or the counselor, whoever he was. He asked her, why are you so deprecating? And that is just like, come on, Kenya. Like, you are a very smart girl. You're a pretty girl. And I just feel like instead of you being on this show, using this platform to show that you want to fight for your marriage and be a strong woman for your marriage, maybe you should show these girls and women how to move on and how to get out of a situation that's bad. Because clearly, it's not going good. Y'all not living together. You out here building a pool. He didn't want no pool. Now you building pools. And then the question about, I think they asked her about whether or not he was good with his other kids. That's, to me, an insinuation that he is not taking care of Brooklyn the way he needs to. And that's just alarming within itself, because clearly Kenya is in this relationship because of Brooklyn. You know, so Kenya, girl, like, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of Kenya, but I just want her to move on. Later in this episode, she's meeting with Candy and Cynthia, and they supporting her, but in the confessions, they tell her, child, leave that man. I like in that scene, that same scene that happened later, when Cynthia was like, you know, you have shown that you are fighting. In other words, girl, you have fought. The fight is over. You got beat up. Not for real, but this marriage has beat your ass, in my K. Michelle voice, and you need to go. So, Kenya, please, like, it's crazy. You know, I don't want to see this the whole season. I'd rather see Kenya do other stuff, like be Kenya. But to be over here and just be in this relationship that just ain't working, girl, you have a beautiful child. Go on. You got what you really, really wanted. There will be another man that will be willing to put up with you and deal with you, and he will love you. But Mark ain't it. I'm also trying to figure out, they've been separated for 10 months, but I just feel like, I don't know. What's the timeline here? Like 10 months? I mean, this was filmed in June, so that would probably go back to like, November, October, right at the end of last filming. And I feel like at the reunion, she said that they were okay. Like, Kenya, girl, what is going on? It's family days, the car wash family day with Candy, Ace, Riley, and Todd. And first off, I just want to say I am really glad that we have seen Riley grow up. When I say grow up, not that she's 18, but even a year or so ago, I just feel like that child was so underdeveloped. Like, she was like, 16, 17, and she just has such the most passive and soft voice. But now, hearing her speak, I had to, like, lean into the TV. I thought that was Mama Joyce. Like, she has obviously grown up. And I'm glad that she's speaking in full sentences and, like, you know, really getting out what she wants to say. Now, in this episode, it's no different. This girl, you know, this Block situation has come back up. Now, we know who Block is from the past, and there was a scene that happened, I think, like 2 seasons ago, where she was crying about something. And it really kind of tore me up a little bit because, I mean, you know, she has a father that wants to be in her life, and when it's time to be in her life, he don't really show up. And I think that's Candy's frustration. I don't know. But what I got from this scene is that she's going to NYU, clearly spoiled. And she does not want a relationship with her father. Now, apparently her father owes over $100K in child support. Now, I see Candy being the kind of person be like, I don't want that money. I don't need it. Like, because Candy doesn't need it. But I think it's the principle. And the fact that his own daughter is asking for it now, that's a problem. I think that, like Todd said, if he wants to be in her relationship, if he wants to be in her life, he is going to have to actively try. And she's also going to have to be able to receive it. I know she's 18, but Candy needs to sit her down and instead of giving her the option or instead of saying that, she can do whatever, try to get her to talk to her father. And then after she's tried and she still don't want to, then child, I guess she ain't got to. But at this point, Riley is definitely 18. She is grown. And like they said, it's been a long time. He trying to now come into her life at 18. That has to be rough. You don't even know this child. Like, you don't really know her. She has been raised. And I get that feeling, I wasn't really raised with my father. And I don't know him I don't know him that well. But I feel like, I don't need him. I don't hold any resentment. He's just over there. And if he came back now, I speak and talk, but to have a relationship, it'll be a little difficult. So I understand that, Riley. And I kudos to Todd for not getting involved, but getting involved to give out his opinion and related to his situation with his daughter, because that's good. Like, he is married to Candy, and Riley, he's taking Riley in as his own, as well as his own daughter. So it was good to see that. Now I did see his face when Candy was saying that Block was saying that she was some broke hoe or something with the hoe. I don't know what she said, but that had to be a little tough. I feel like Todd would have been all upset. I mean, I wonder what his relationship is like with Block. I'm just curious because Block seems to be a little disrespectful, and I know that's Riley's father, but that's also his wife now. So I don't know. Candy recently did an interview about Block and how he was brought into the previous seasons, but hasn't been since. So I feel like, Candy would like to bring that light to him, but what would Block feel? We don't know. Cynthia and Mike had their perfect date. I think it was 10-10-20 or 10-3-20. I don't know. It was one of these days in October around my birthday. But obviously during COVID, things were changed a bit now. Not in Atlanta, child. I have, my mom is in Atlanta and I'm in LA, but I know that, I don't know how she thought that it was going to impact her wedding, because Atlanta has never closed by what I've seen. But, at this time, for the cameras or whatever, she feels like the wedding is going to be impacted. She feels like she's not going to be able to have her big wedding. And at first I was like, I understand that, because Cynthia is speaking from a place that her previous wedding, she had this budget. Allegedly, Nene or somebody had to help her out, with the financing of the wedding or whatever. Her mom and her sister didn't really want them to get married, hiding the wedding certificate. They didn't have a honeymoon. So I get it. Like, if I was like, well, Cynthia already got married. Then I thought about it. She got married, but she ain't had no wedding. And when I say she ain't had no wedding, child, what was that to remember? Her mom and her sister, her terrible husband, ex-husband, who she's like battling with legal. I don't know, child. But then after hearing Mike, I felt for Mike, because Mike is like, am I not enough? And I don't think that was the right question to ask. But basically what he was trying to say is like, why do we need this big old wedding if it's really just about us? So when it comes to those two and what side I'm on, I'm going to side with Mike. I feel for Cynthia, and if I was in her position, I would feel the same kind of way. I am all about the drag of a wedding. But if you want to get married, then get married, and like he said, have the ceremony later. Like, it's not a woman thing, it's not a man thing, it's just reality, especially during COVID. Like, if you can't have it, you can't have it. What's the point? So what's the point of pushing it off or not having it or whatever? Like either have it, get married, or move forward. Like, there's nothing else. And I think that's just a great representation of all these couples and stuff like that. People spend all this money in these weddings. I can't speak because I ain't married. I ain't close to it right now. But I'm a little closer than many. But so I just feel like people spend all this money on these weddings, and sometimes it don't work. It don't last. And you've had this big wedding, but where's the love? Where's the marriage? And I feel like listening to Mike speak. Mike was very sincere in saying, I want to marry you. Like, it's us. This is what we have. And it was just good to see between them two. Like, Cynthia and Mike, they're cute. I believe their love. I believe their union. And hopefully Cynthia, obviously we know she gets married, so whatever, but hopefully during this process, she doesn't like wear that man out about that, because that can just be draining. Like, that can just be draining. I mean, it can't be. I also appreciate their testimony of dating or being together during the quarantine, because I feel like many people experience that type of situation during the quarantine, like being with somebody and being stuck with somebody, child. It was definitely crazy for me. And I just feel like, she kept saying that, we survived, we made it through. That's what it feels like, child, because if you was in a relationship back in March and April and somewhat of May, and you was in the house with your spouse all the time, ooh, listen, Cynthia one line. And like her and myself and many others, we all survived. So I'm happy for Cynthia. I really am. Last up, Porsha Luther King. Now, I'm not going to speak a lot about Porsha, but I am very happy and proud of her. I like how they were, they brought up the whole reference to the Underground Railroad many, many years ago, and then to her now. I'm glad, I'm happy that Porsha has really grown, and clearly she is the center peach. So with that being said, she is going to be the star of this particular season, the queen. I hate to say queen because, girls get real upset when you say queen, but the queen of this season, and rightfully so. She has earned her place, earned her spot. This episode, she spoke so well. Every time she came on, like, I felt like I was listening to a speech from somebody. Like, I was like, I want to follow her. And I remember when the story broke back in June. So it's nothing new to me. I am glad that that she has done this for herself, but also I feel like she's finally, over the last season, especially now, gained like major points from all the other women, probably minus Kenya, child, because they ain't gonna never see eye to eye. But even Candy, at first I thought they were saying like, oh, I'm so happy for Porsha for getting locked up, but they actually were saying they were happy for her for being out there and concerned that she was locked up. So I was glad for that. And so Porsha, if you're watching this, you are amazing, girl. And you really are setting, a good example for the show. I think this is something the show has never seen. So on next week's episode, they introduced the new Peach, okay, Drew Sidora, honey. And some other friends of the show. I think Tanya comes back. I think Latoya Ali comes around or whatever. And I'm just hoping that Drew delivers. She obviously has a lot of pressure with, some big OGs leaving last season, and she's coming in. So I heard she doesn't disappoint, but we will see. And I just hope that the season is a lot better than this first episode, because if that is going to be the season, child, I may have to lean out completely, and to the point to where I may not do a review until it gets back juicy, which they may happen anyway. So until then, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment, all things The Lean. And I will see you guys for episode 2, or for Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, or for Real Housewives of Potomac. I do them all, okay? Booked and busy over here. But anyway, gotta go. Have a good one.